Ecosystem keywords. Living organisms interact themselves with surrounding physical environment. Ecosystem. Living organisms interact themselves and with surrounding interact with the surrounding physical environment. Ecosystem. Productivity measure in weight per gram or energy kilocalories per square meter. Productivity measurement weight per gram or energy in kilocalories per square meter. Basic requirement for any ecosystem to function and sustain. Constant input of solar energy. Basic requirement for any ecosystem to function, to sustain, constant input of solar energy is required. Basic categories of ecosystem: terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem. Basic categories of ecosystem: terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem. Two components of ecosystem: biotic and abiotic. The two components of ecosystem are biotic and abiotic. Amount of biomass, unit area, time period is considered as primary production. Amount of biomass in a unit area for a particular time period is considered as primary production. Productivity, energy flow, decomposition, nutrient cycling. All these are the components of ecosystem, functional aspects of ecosystem. Productivity, energy flow, decomposition, nutrient cycling are the functional aspects of ecosystem. Rate of biomass production, productivity. Rate of biomass production, productivity. Functional unit of nature, ecosystem. Functional unit of nature, ecosystem. Rate of production of organic matter, photosynthesis, is called gross primary productivity. Rate of production of organic matter by plants in photosynthesis is called gross primary productivity. Fairly self-sustainable unit, pond ecosystem. Fairly self-sustainable unit, pond ecosystem. Forest, grassland, desert, terrestrial ecosystem. Forest, grassland, desert, terrestrial ecosystem. Pond, lake, river, wetland, estuary, aquatic ecosystem. Pond, lake, river, wetland, estuary, aquatic ecosystem. Crop field, aquarium, man-made ecosystem. Crop field, aquarium, man-made ecosystem. Crop field, aquarium or man-made ecosystem. Small pond to large forest or sea are ecosystems. Utilization of productivity in the form of respiration. Utilization of productivity by the plants or consumers in the form of respiration. Vertical distribution is called stratification. Vertical distribution is called stratification. Movement of energy, unidirectional, always towards higher trophic level, from the lower trophic level to higher trophic level. Global ecosystem, entire biosphere is considered as global ecosystem. GPP, gross primary productivity of the plants. Interaction, biotic and abiotic results, physical structure of ecosystem. Interaction between the biotic and abiotic factor result, physical structure of ecosystem. NPP and R, net primary productivity of the plant and energy loss in the form of respiration of the plant. NPP and R, characteristic feature of each ecosystem, physical structure. GPP minus R, gross primary productivity of the plant minus the energy utilized in the form of respiration, is equal to NPP. Net primary productivity plus respiration considered as GPP, gross primary productivity. Input of ecosystem, productivity. Transfer of energy in ecosystem in the form of food chain or food web and nutrient cycling. Output of ecosystem, degradation and energy loss. Degradation, energy loss considered as output of ecosystem. Available biomass for the heterotrophic consumption, net primary productivity for herbivores. Available biomass for heterotrophic consumption, net primary productivity. Top vertical strata of forest, tree. Top vertical strata of forest, tree. Second vertical strata of forest, shrub. Bottom layer of forest, herbs and grasses. Top vertical strata, tree. Second vertical strata forest, shrub. Bottom layer, herbs and grasses. Can explain complex interactions of aquatic ecosystem by pond ecosystem. Consumption of autotrophs by heterotrophs. Decomposition and mineralization for recycling of nutrients. Shallow water body, pond. Rate of formation of new organic matter, heterotrophs, is called secondary productivity. Rate of formation of new organic matter by heterotrophs is called secondary productivity. Conversion, organic or inorganic, by autotrophs. Autotrophs are converting that the radiant energy of the sun is into chemical energy. Conversion, radiant energy of the sun is converted into chemical energy by autotrophs. Abiotic component, pond, water. Productivity of consumers is called secondary productivity. Productivity of plants, primary productivity. Productivity of consumer, secondary productivity. Dissolved organic and inorganic and rich soil, water of the pond. Location of decomposers in the pond, abundant in the bottom of pond. Regulate the rate of function in pond. Solar input, cycle of temperature, day length. Decomposers of pond, fungi, bacteria and flagellate. Decomposers of pond, fungi, bacteria and flagellates. Consumers in pond, zooplankton, free swimming, bottom dwelling forms. Consumers in pond, zooplankton, free swimming, bottom dwelling forms. Autotrophic components of the pond, phytoplankton, algae, floating, submerged and marginal plants found at the edges. Primary productivity depends on plants of that area. Primary productivity depends on plants of that area. Dark colored amorphous substance, humus. Dark colored amorphous substance is humus. Largely oxygen requiring process, decomposition. Largely oxygen requiring process, decomposition. Environmental factors, availability of nutrients related to productivity. Environmental factors, availability of nutrients related to productivity. Lignin and chitin in detritus. Decomposition occurs slow. Presence of lignin and chitin in detritus, decomposition occurs slow. Photosynthetic capacity of plants related to primary productivity. Photosynthetic capacity of plant related to primary productivity. Highly resistant to microbial action, humus. Highly resistant to microbial action, humus, because of lignin and chitin. Chemical composition of detritus influence rate of decomposition. Chemical composition of detritus influence the rate of decomposition. Annual net primary productivity of the whole biosphere, 170 billion tons. Annual net productivity of whole biosphere is 170 billion tons. Percentage of GPP in ISR, 1 to 5%. Percentage of graphs primary productivity in ISR indirectly, 1 to 5%. Colloidal nature, reservoir of nutrients, humus. Colloidal nature, reservoir of nutrient, humus. Percent of ocean occupancy on Earth, 70%. Climatic factor, decomposition. Influence rate of decomposition. Percent of GPP in PAR, 2 to 10%. Percentage of grass primary productivity in photosynthetically active radiation, 2 to 10%. Annual net primary productivity of oceans, 55 billion tons. Annual net productivity of ocean, 55 billion tons. Nitrogen and sugar, if they are rich in detritus, decomposition occur faster. Lignin, chitin presence, decomposition occurs slower. Nitrogen and sugars make rich detritus, decomposition occur faster. Humus degrade by microbes, release inorganic nutrients. Organic matter to inorganic matter, done by decomposition. Inorganic matter after decomposition, carbon dioxide, water and nutrients. Temperature and moisture, most important factors required for decomposition. Favorable factors for decomposition. Temperature and moisture. Dead remains of plants and animals, detritus. Dead remains of plants and animals, detritus. Warm and moist environment favor decomposition. Warm and moist environment favor decomposition. Sun, source of energy for all except deep hydrothermal ecosystem. Raw material for decomposition, detritus. Raw material for decomposition, detritus. Light focused on the earth. Incident solar radiation is called light focused on the earth. Light focused on the plant. Photosynthetically active radiation, PAR. Humus into inorganic nutrients called mineralization. Humus into inorganic nutrients called mineralization. Lower temperature and anaerobiasis inhibit decomposition. Lower temperature and anaerobiasis, non-availability of oxygen, inhibit decomposition. Unidirectional flow of energy, always from producers to consumer, and it decreases. Important steps for decomposition: fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humidification, mineralization. Breakdown of detritus into small particles is called fragmentation. Water-soluble inorganic nutrients go down to soil horizon, leaching. Enzymes degrade detritus into simple inorganic molecules, catabolism. Simultaneous steps for decomposition process are fragmentation, leaching, and catabolism. Breakdown of detritus into small particles, fragmentation. Water-soluble inorganic nutrient go down to soil horizon, called leaching. Enzyme degrade detritus into simple inorganic molecules is called catabolism. Simultaneous steps of decomposition process: fragmentation, leaching, catabolism. Decomposition in the soil, humidification and mineralization. Humidification leads to humus formation. Humidification leads to humus formation. Climatic factor build up organic material, lower temperature and anaerobiasis. Need constant supply of energy. Ecosystem, second law of thermodynamics. Need constant supply of energy to synthesize the molecule in ecosystem is the second law of thermodynamics. Inorganic nutrients precipitated as unavailable salts called leaching. Percent of PAR in ISR, 50%. Percent of GPP in PAR, 2 to 10%. Counteract universal tendency towards increasing disorderliness by constant supply of energy, synthesis of new molecules. Terrestrial ecosystem major producers, herbaceous and woody plants. Aquatic ecosystem major producers, phytoplankton, algae, higher plants. Reason for the food chain or web, interdependency of the organisms is the reason for the food chain or web. Death of organism is the beginning of detritus food chain. Depend on plants directly, herbivore. Depend on plants indirectly, carnivore. Common herbivores, terrestrial ecosystem, insect, birds, and mammals. Grass, goat, man, grazing food chain. Grass is a producer, goat is a primary consumer herbivore, man is a secondary consumer carnivore. Detritus food chain begins with organic matter. Decomposers are DFC. Decomposers are heterotrophic organisms. Main decomposers, fungi and bacteria are called main decomposers. Sapro means decompose. Autotrophs, producers. Heterotrophs, consumers and decomposers are called heterotrophs. Saprotrophs, decomposers. Decomposers are called saprotrophs. Secrete digestive enzymes on dead decomposers. Food chain, larger fraction of energy flow. Detritus food chain. Food chain, larger fraction of energy flow. Food chain, larger fraction of energy flow, detritus food chain. Organisms of DFC prey to the GFC animals, connecting the DFC to GFC. Natural interconnection of the food chain is called food web. Natural interconnection of food chain is said to be food web. Place organism in the food chain. Trophic level. Place of any organism in the food chain is called trophic level. Energy flow from producers to consumer always decrease. Energy flow from producer to consumer always decrease. Dead organism, energy source, decomposers. Trophic level, certain mass of living material for a particular period of time is called standing crop. At trophic level, certain mass of living material in a particular time, standing crop. Biomass of species expressed in terms of fresh or dry weight. First trophic level, producer. Second trophic level, herbivore or primary consumer. Third trophic level, primary carnivores or secondary consumers. Fourth trophic level, secondary carnivores or tertiary consumer. If present, fifth trophic level, tertiary carnivores are quaternary consumers. Trophic level, GPP and NPP. First trophic level, producers, gross primary productivity and net primary productivity belongs to first trophic level, producers. Energy produced is gross primary productivity. Energy utilized is respiration, GPP minus R equal to NPP, net primary productivity. Trophic level, GSP and NSP. Second, third, fourth, fifth trophic level, whatever, consumers are belongs to having the energy called gross secondary productivity and net secondary productivity. 10% rule, energy measurement from Lindman trophic efficiency rule. Energy measurement is from net primary productivity to the net secondary productivity, NPP to NSP. Man and lion, they are considered top carnivore. Bird, fishes, owl, secondary carnivore. Base of pyramid always broad. Base of pyramid is always broad in upright pyramids. Pyramid narrow towards apex. Pyramid is narrow towards apex in upright pyramids. Food, biomass, energy, trophic level relationship expressed in terms of pyramid. Pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass, pyramid of energy. Base of each pyramid represent always producers. Base of each pyramid represent always producers. Apex of each pyramid represent always tertiary or top level carnivore. Place of first trophic level in pyramid. Base of pyramid. Place of producers in pyramid base. Represent a functional level, not a species, is called trophic level. Trophic level represent a functional level, not an individual species. Pyramid of number, biomass, energy, mostly upright pyramid. In upright pyramid, producer, number, biomass, energy. In all upright pyramids, the producer's position is more than any other trophic level based on number or biomass or energy. In upright pyramid, herbivore, pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass, pyramid of energy. Less than producer and more than any other trophic level. In upright pyramid, carnivore, number, biomass, energy. Less than producer and herbivore. Inverted pyramid of biomass is possible. C. Inverted pyramid of biomass, C. Inverted pyramid of number, tree ecosystem. Inverted pyramid of number is possible, tree ecosystem. Inverted pyramid of energy, not possible because energy always decrease from producers to the consumers, 10% rule. Omnivores, place in pyramid, no place. There is no place given to the omnivores in the pyramid. There is no place given to the decomposers in the pyramid. Food web in pyramid, not possible, cannot represent. The pyramids does not represent omnivore, decomposers and food web condition also. Pyramid is possible only for a simple food chain where there is no existence of simple food chains in the nature. Place of saprophytes in pyramid, no place. Biomass of fish more than phytoplankton pyramid. In which pyramid you will find biomass of fish is more than phytoplankton? Inverted pyramid of biomass. Pyramid existence in nature never exists because it concerns only simple food chain. but in nature always food web is present. Detritus food chain type of pyramid, not possible, that not given anything about the detritus food chain. An important characteristic of all communities that their composition and structure constantly change in response to changing environmental conditions. An important characteristic of all communities is that their composition and structure constantly change in response to changing environmental conditions. Changes in communities are orderly and sequential, parallel with the changes in physical environment. Changes in the community is finally considered as climax community. Community near equilibrium with environment, climax community. Gradual, fairly predictable change in the species composition area called ecological succession. Entire sequence of community in the successive changes are called sears, serial stages. Individual transitional communities are called serial stages or serial communities. Major constituent of biological membrane, phosphorus. Major constituent of biological membrane, phosphorus. Products of ecosystem processes named as ecological services. Price tag on nature's life supporting services. Average price tag 33 trillion US dollars. Average price tag 33 trillion US dollars. In total cost, 50% for soil formation, less than 10% for recreation, nutrient cycling, and 6% climate regulation and habitat for wildlife. Rate of succession fast and reach to climax quickly. Secondary succession. Secondary succession, rate of succession is fast and reaches to climax community very quick. Phytoplankton to tree to succession. Phytoplankton to tree, hydrarch we call. 33 trillion in a year, life supporting services. Then successive serial stages, change in diversity, number increases, biomass increases. Species invade in a base is called pioneer species. That species invade in the pioneer species are primary succession. Able to secrete acids, dissolve rocks, lichens, pioneer species. Able to secrete acids and dissolve the rocks, lichens, pioneer species. Succession and evolution, parallel process, millions of years back. Xerarch, climax community of the forest, that xerarch. Climax community in the xerarch is forest. If succession proceeds, vegetation changes results. Number and types of animals and decomposers also changes from one serial stage to the another serial stage. 18 trillion global gross natural products. Succession begins in an area where no living organism. Primary succession we can call. Succession begins in an area where no living organism. Primary succession. Succession in an area older replaced by new. Secondary succession. Phytoplankton, rooted, floating, angiosperms, rooted, submerged. Arrange them in order. First will come phytoplankton, then pioneer species. Rooted, floating, the rooted, submerged will come next, and rooted, floating, angiosperm. Succession on wet area, hydrarch. Succession on dry area, xerarch. Succession on bare rock, primary succession. Succession lake to forest, secondary succession. Succession hydric to mesic, hydrarch. Succession xeric to mesic, xerarch. Succession faster, secondary succession is faster than the primary. Newly cooled to lava to new ecosystem, newly cooled lava to form a new ecosystem, we call primary succession. Pioneer species on rock, lichens. Pioneer species on rock, lichen, xerarch. Lands that have been flooded, succession is secondary succession. Newly created pond, reservoir, primary succession. Xerarch, lichen, the bryophytes. After lichens, bryophytes will come. Primary succession, water, pioneer community. small phytoplankton. Those where it begins, it is called pioneer community. In primary succession of in water, small phytoplanktons are belongs to pioneer community. Several hundreds to thousands of years on rock, time taken to form fertile soil and rock. Rooted floating angiosperms, reed swamp, free floating. Arrange them in order. First will come rooted floating angiosperms will come, then free floating, and then the reed swamp stage. Hydrarch and xerarch leads to mesic condition. Abundant farmland succession, secondary succession. Xerophytic to mesophytic, primary, xerarch. Reed swamp, phytoplankton, submerged, marsh meadow, scrub, forest stage. Arrange these stages in order. First, pioneer community is the phytoplankton and the cereal stages. Submerged plant stage, submerged free floating, reed swamp, marsh meadow, scrub. Finally, the climax community is forest. Burned or cut forest, succession, secondary succession. At any time during primary or secondary succession, natural or human-induced disturbances like fire, deforestation can convert a particular serial stage of succession to an earlier stage. At any time during primary or secondary succession, natural or human-induced disturbances create new conditions that encourage some species and discourage or eliminate other species. Amount of carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, calcium in soil at any given time is called standing state. Next to water in body, carbon. Next to water in body, carbon. Fossil fuel, reservoir of carbon. Varies seasonally with type of ecosystem. Standing state varies seasonally with type of ecosystem. Never we lose, recycle, movement, nutrient cycling, biogeochemical cycle. Regulate the rate of nutrients in atmosphere, soil, moisture, pH, temperature. 4 into 10 to the power of 3 kg. Annual fixation of carbon in the biosphere in the photosynthetic process. Gaseous nutrient cycle, reservoir, atmosphere. Sedimentary cycle, reservoir, earth crust. Respiratory activities of producers, consumers. Release carbon into atmosphere. Nitrogen and carbon cycle, gaseous cycle. Sulfur and phosphorus cycle, sedimentary cycle. Major constituent of nucleic acid, phosphorus. Major constituent of nucleic acid, phosphorus. Function of reservoir, meet with deficit. Reason for deficit, imbalance in the rate of inflow and outflow. Reason for deficit, imbalance in the rate of outflow and inflow. 49% of dry weight, carbon, 71% carbon is available in the dissolved in oceans. Of oceanic reservoir regulates amount of carbon dioxide in atmosphere. 1% of total global carbon available at atmosphere. Decomposes contribution to the carbon cycle. Waste are dead into land, water. Major constituent of cellular energy transfer system, phosphorus. Fixed carbon lost to sediments. Weathered, soil pollution, roots of plant, phosphorus. Element make shell, bone, teeth, phosphorus. Carbon removed from circulation, sedimented carbon removed from the circulation. No respiratory release in the cycle, phosphorus, no respiratory release. Burning of wood, forest fire, source of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Respiratory release cycle, carbon cycle, carbon release in respiration. Natural reservoir of phosphorus, rock. Natural reservoir of phosphorus, rock. Combustion of organic matter. Source of carbon dioxide to atmosphere. Atmospheric input through rainfall, more carbon more than phosphorus. Atmospheric input through rainfall, carbon more than phosphorus. Phosphate solubilizing bacteria make phosphorus into soil. Atmospheric input through rainfall, less in phosphorus. Phosphorus atmospheric input through rainfall is less than the carbon. Fossil fuel volcanic activity, source of carbon dioxide to atmosphere. Gaseous exchange to organism to an environment negligible in phosphorus. That phosphorus in the form of phosphate, rock. Robert Constanja, Ecosystem Services. Robert Constanja, Ecosystem Services. Thank you.